Yay, you're back. So good to see you. And if you're new, welcome. We are on day 7, believe it or not, of the Healthy Nutrition A to Z challenge. Yes, I'm doing a challenge. I hope you are challenging yourself along with me. A 26-day challenge moving us through the letters of the alphabet, A to Z. Today we are on the letter G. And what are we talking about? I'm talking about grains, in particular and specifically whole grains. I didn't say W because W has its own letter, and I'll do that towards the end of the challenge. So we'll get to W in a few weeks. Grains, whole grains, whole grains, whole grains. How many whole grains are you using in your everyday diet? First, what is a whole grain? Obviously, the whole grain is all of the grain, as close as possible as it is to the state that it is when it's in the ground, when it comes out of the ground. It's the grain that has all of the components that we need in our healthy eating, healthy lifestyle uh, journey, desires, ambitions, intentions, goals. But we don't do such a good job of getting some of these whole grains in our system. So I'm here to expose you and introduce you to some of the ones that you may not have even heard of. But the whole grain is the grain, the whole part of the grain. It contains the fiber, the phytonutrients, the minerals, the healthy fats, the bran, the sperm, the endosperm, all of the grain in intact. And most of what we see, most of what we use, most of what we are familiar with would be a more highly processed form of a grain like wheat, or a more refined version, especially in uh, the commercial products that we use, breads and pastries and other things that we buy in our stores, in our supermarkets. So, simply just listing some of these for you, I'm going to put the entire list in the description so you can go and look. And the question is very simple today. How many of these have you used or are you familiar with? And challenge yourself to try one or more of all of these, or some of these, when you get a chance. So we're talking about Amaranth, Bulgur, Barley, Farro, Millet, whole oats. Most of us are familiar with whole oats. Quinoa. We're hearing a lot more about quinoa these days. Lots of people are getting on board with quinoa. What else is a good grain? Sorghum, teff. And a lot of these grains are very good staples, but they're not familiar to many of us. And we can find them more easily, more readily in maybe specialty markets. And they're used very, very much. They're very popular in other parts of the world, in other cuisines, like in Asia and South America, in parts of Africa. These are staples. So it will do us well to try some of them, experiment a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you've ever tried any of them, and if you would, see if you can find some of them, and go ahead and tell me what that's like. In other videos, I'm going to expand a little bit more on each of these and maybe give you some of the ways that you can use them and some of the rest. But for today, it's just about letting you know that there are lots more whole grains than probably you're familiar with, and challenging you to go and find some, use some, cook some, and let me know what you think.